Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jade and welcome back to the Get Me Off podcast. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Get Me Off podcast. Today I have another amazing guest with me. So without further ado, let's start. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Emma McCaffrey. I'm a personal trainer. I teach online, in person, groups, one-to-one. I'm a solo mum and I live in Winchester.
Oh, amazing. I love that. Kind of local to me as well. And we sort of figured out that we knew some of the same people and things like that. And we were saying how nice it is to connect with like-minded people and people that you know, like in different areas from social media and things like that. Has that been important for you, like with your business?
Definitely. And I'm all about community and connecting. Before I changed career and became a PT, which was about 5 years ago, I worked in corporates and I worked for News Corporation and the Football Association, and you know, I used to meet people, I used to network prolifically and meet people face to face all the time, and I really missed that when I became a mum and moved out of London, and so I've found that there's so many women particularly doing this thing where you've got your kids and then also creating a new business which fits around and gives you that flexibility, and I think there's so much support. I know that social media that we all know the negatives, spending too much time on it, and if you're looking at the wrong things. But I also think there's a wonderful supportive community, and it's about who you're engaging with.
Absolutely.
And it can be full of cheerleaders. Do you agree? Absolutely.
And there's so many things you can learn as well, and so many different avenues that you can go into. Like, I imagine with your business, social media has helped so much.
Yeah.
Definitely, like finding new people and finding clients and sort of researching stuff. And so you mentioned that you worked in sort of corporate before. Yeah. How did you then transition into something that's completely different, really?
Yeah. So I've always loved exercise. I'm very active, I'm very outdoorsy. So it's always been a big part of my life. And actually, I did my qualifications when I was working at the Football Association, when I was in my 20s, because it was always like, what should I do? But I love football as well, and I love doing that campaigning stuff, and very high octane, love getting things done. But exercise has always been something that's been alongside anything else I've done, and something that I've always stayed committed to. And I've been through the years, done lots of different things like Reebok step, pump, spinning, been through all those different phases.
God, I couldn't do spinning.
Yeah, it's hardcore, isn't it?
It looks intense. I know, I couldn't do that.
So then when actually I became pregnant, I was working at News Corporation, and I was running the events team and doing campaigns. And then we moved out of London. Everything happened in a year. I moved out of London, became pregnant again very quickly, had 2 children under 2, and then it just became very clear it was very intense, very intense. Didn't plan it, but no, very, very grateful. But all of a sudden, instantly, I was surrounded by a lot of people that would go back to work and have a nanny, which is great. Everyone has their thing, and knows what their needs are. But I very quickly realised that I wanted to sort of be around, and I'd achieved quite a lot of my career already, so I was willing to sort of take that time. And it was just actually didn't make financial sense either, and like that whole sort of going back to London. So I thought, hang on a minute, I want to be around for this. What am I going to do that is going to really fit around that? I did. We started with a partner. I work with somebody called Zoe Baker on our group classes. We started doing group class things. So we do 6 classes a week outside in Winchester, which I absolutely love, and it's like a community. And lots of people say it's more than just an exercise class, because we come together. It's about being outside, no matter what the weather is. Right? We are outside, so great for your mental health.
Wow.
In nature, we get a bit muddy, and there's friendships are formed, and it's we have a laugh. We don't take it too seriously. So you're ticking lots of boxes and getting that work done. We do strength training, we do boxing, we do lots of cardio stuff. So I started doing that, and it meant that I could sort of grow with my career, could grow with me, my new career, as my kids were growing and sort of needed me less and going to school.
And fitting it around your lifestyle as well.
Fitting around my lifestyle so I can be there. Yeah, and how I can be there. So it gave me choice. But it's hard. And I absolutely love what I do. And I think I've always loved what I do. So when you love what you do, as I'm sure you do too.
Doesn't feel like work.
Doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love it. And for me, I find it's so rewarding what I do, because I basically help people to move and feel better.
Yes.
For me, it's about feeling better. So I find that really rewarding, and I find it really rewarding working with people that don't really want to come to exercise, or a bit sort of scared. They've had that sort of gym intimidation experience, feel very self-conscious.
Oh, that's a good word. I've not heard that word before. Gym intimidation.
Yeah.
I love that. I've never heard that word.
So I work with a lot of women who, you know, they feel like, oh God, I don't know what to wear and all the rest of it. And I feel conscious, or when they work out, they feel like they're failing. And that makes me feel so sad because it's not about those things. For me, it's
supposed to be about feeling good.
Yeah, mentally. And then the physical things will come. So anyway, I digress. So basically, I transitioned because I just sort of thought, what can I do? And this all just happened, and it's grown organically. And now I do one-to-one sessions. We do sauna social days. We do retreats. We do corporate presentations. I work with loads of different people, and I've recently gone online, and that's something that I really love doing, online live, because yes, it would be lovely to be in person, and I love that in-person class, but not everyone can make it. So I just want to make it accessible to all. Yeah. And another thing I'm really, really passionate about is making it inclusive to all ages, all stages, whatever level you're at.
I love that. And I think, like, obviously we talk about the mental health thing, but how important is regular exercise for mental health? Even just little things like getting out for a walk, or how important is that? Because that's a big focus of your work.
Yes. It's essential. I'd say it's essential. And somebody who has, over the years, sort of had quite severe episodes of depression and anxiety, it's the one thing that I keep consistent with. And it doesn't necessarily stop that happening, having these episodes, but it's me taking action. So every time I move in whatever way, and like you say, there's so many different ways to move. And if you find something you enjoy, I think you're so much more likely to come back. So that's what I really focus on with people. There's so many different ways of going into exercise, whether it's a walk, a jog, a bike ride, whatever, swimming, whatever floats your boat. And being outside in nature, and just, I think, is so powerful.
So much. I'm such a home bird. Like, I loved lockdown. As soon as everyone was let out again, I was like, I don't really want to go outside. But now I'm really getting the craving to be outside and just like touch trees, or like just go for a walk, or do things outside. Yeah. And that's a pretty new thing for me, but I can already tell the days when I do go for a walk and things like that, I do feel better. Yeah. And I do, like, generally my body feels better. Yeah. And we're not supposed to be inside all day.
No, we're not. We're animals. Ultimately, we're animals. And I think, it just changes your perspective, and it just enables you to connect with nature and just to see something different and see other people. You don't have to talk to them, but you can have that connection if you want. And I think movement creates movement. Yes. So the more you do, the more you want to do. Yes. And I think if you're killing two birds, or three birds even with one stone, then it's really, really effective and efficient, because if you're outside and you bump into a neighbour, there's that connection, you're being in nature, and you're getting that heart pumping. And I just think that's incredible. And I also think every time we move, you should celebrate, because it's like all movement is success, and anything is better than nothing.
So, question that I'm actually wondering. So, for example, they say that you should get out for a walk, sort of 30 minutes every day. If you're out doing things, like today I'm out doing things, I'm recording podcasts and I'm driving around and like going to meetings perhaps, or whatever. Yeah. When you're outside doing those things, do you do your 30-minute walk in addition to that? Or does that cover you in terms of steps, exercise, that kind of thing? What's your opinion on this?
That is a really good point and a really good question, because there is something that's called NEAT, right? So that's basically exercise. That's a technical term, but ultimately that is doing stuff when you're not specifically going to the gym or something, and it all adds up. Everything you do is cumulative. If you're hoovering, doing the housework, that is exercise.
Exactly.
Okay, so it might be one day that you don't do any formal exercise. You never have to do formal exercise. If you are getting that resistance in, you never have to. I'll come back to that in a second. But ultimately, so today it may be that all those movements, maybe if you've got a way of measuring it, will tick that box. So it's about consistency, but not consistency every single day at the same time. It's about consistency over a year, and continuing to move.
And having those rest days sometimes when you need it.
Yeah, listening to your body. I'm all about intuitively listening to your body. Say, for example, you've set up today to do some exercise and you're not feeling great, and your body's saying no. Your hormones, women particularly, are so governed by our hormones. If you're due on, your estrogen will be low, which will mean that you don't really want to move, or you're feeling less like you want to move. That's fine. Don't do it if it's really going to put you off. but make sure you schedule the next time you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So, you say, okay, I'm not going to move today, but instead I'm going to do something tomorrow.
Instead of just cancelling it, because then you don't really have anything to sort of go towards.
Exactly. And then feeling like, and it becoming a spiral. But I think there's so many different ways to move. And the important thing is, though, resistance training. So when we're hoovering, that is resisting when you are pushing against your body weight. Your body, your muscles need to push against some level of resistance, whatever that be, whether it's a water bottle, but you will be doing that within your daily chores. So don't discount that. And then if you can do something in addition, great. But we have to be realistic about our lifestyles and where we can fit it in.
So we've talked about sort of doing things in daily life that add up to it and things like that. But what about people that are wanting to know and wanting to get into exercise, but don't necessarily know how to or know what to do or this kind of thing? Maybe people that haven't ever really done it before or wouldn't know what to choose, want to get into something new. What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into more regular exercise?
Okay, so I think that this is something that goes around people's head a lot, but then they sort of perhaps think about PE or something, and think, oh my God, I hated it. But don't worry, we're not going to put that PE kit on you. So if you've lost your PE kit, people used to get that awful PE kit. But, so I think what I would say, there is so many things out there, so many things. So I would advise that firstly, people look at what is around them, whether, try and find your tribe. There's a tribe for everyone, there's a vibe for everyone. So it's kind of like, are you somebody that lives close to a gym and you are going to do well, going to the gym, that's your space. If that's your thing, great. Are you somebody that likes to be on your own and listen to a podcast or music, goes out for a long walk or a jog, or, a lone ranger? Some people like that because it's their headspace.
That's
and then they can catch up on podcasts. Yeah, and
that's
there's something
me.
Cool. So it could be that you could do, you could either do an online program or in the gym, but put your tunes on, and get into that moment. You may be somebody that needs a class, really loves connection and really, really needs to be amongst others. Okay, that's definitely me. I'm a real extrovert and I love formal exercise. I have to sort of be there and it has to be a group of people.
Like structured almost.
Formal, structured. It has to be live.
Yeah.
That's who I am and I know myself. And I also do like to go out for a run, and listen to music sometimes, or I go for a run with somebody else. So lots of different, it depends how I'm feeling on that day. And I think, so there's classes, and then also you can go out for bike rides. There's hobbies.
Yeah.
You can create hobbies. You can do like a walking thing where you go, okay, actually we're going to start doing the South Downs over a year or whatever.
Yeah.
So find what it is that you enjoy doing, so it doesn't feel like a chore. Because if you find it, whether it's boxing, whether it's strength training, blah blah blah, and also get variety in, because we need that cardio, we need that strength training, we need to do lots of different things, Pilates, yoga, and then also, this is a really, really important point. Be realistic about how your diary looks, week to week and over the space of a year. Realistically, what are the things that you can actually do? Because I think some people will...
And then beat themselves up about not being able to do it.
Exactly.
When it wasn't realistic to put that much in there or put that thing at that time and this kind of stuff. And then you kind of feel bad for yourself when actually... There's nothing wrong with that. You just maybe picked the wrong day or tried to do it too much or something like that.
Exactly. So it's like setting yourself up. And I see this a lot at the beginning of the year,
yes,
new year, new me. New year, new year. And it's like, no, because exercise, it's about creating sustainable habits for life,
yes.
And it's better to do one thing a week. I'm not saying that that's what I'd recommend, but better to do one thing a week and do it 52 weeks of the year than like do 3 things and then go, oh my God, there's no way I can stick up with this. So it's about being realistic. When does it feel good? Are you somebody that likes to exercise in the morning or in the evening? I'm definitely a get up and get it done. And
Oh no, I'm an evening. We're so opposite.
Yeah, we get on so well. Opposites attract. But it's about, there's no right or wrong way. It's about doing it. If there's resistance within your day to getting there in terms of obstacles, as we know, you're not going to do it. So make it at a time that works. There's no other pulls on your time. And start really small and celebrate yourself. I have little rituals. So for me, I have 1 coffee a day. That's all. I'm not really, really into coffee. I love tea, but I have basically about 2 cups of tea a day. My first one of the day, which I love. And then my reward after I work out is a coffee. And it's like my ritual. So I think, and I'm like, yes, I've done something amazing for myself. So every time you do that movement, celebrate yourself. Don't go in thinking, I should have done that. No, every time you start small, because then you can feel good about yourself.
Yeah, and it's like, what's that thing to do with tasking where you tick off tasks each time you do it, like like celebrating each time you've done a task. It's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think because one of the first episodes I did was about adult hobbies and how nice it is to have hobbies as an adult, and how we kind of lose, because everyone has hobbies as a kid. Like kids always do football or dance or like whatever they do as a kid, and you tend to lose that as an adult, and you just go into, oh, let's go to the gym again. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that doesn't work for some people. And I think me getting back into being quite an athletic person anyway, but getting back into sports, like I was injured last June and I've just gone back full time now since seeing my physio and him saying that it's fine to. I've now gone back full time to all these sports, and I can feel the difference. Like I'm walking easier, I'm eating better, like my general motivation is better. All of this like my mood is better, everything is better. But that's just what works for me. I've had to make myself a morning person. And I used to swear by the fact that I would never get up in an hour that has a 5 in it. So nothing that starts with a 5, I'm still asleep. I don't wake up in those hours. For the last 2 weeks, I've woken up at 5:45 on 2 or 3 days a week to get to the ice rink by a certain time so that I can train in the mornings. And then I have the rest of my day to do all of my work. And I didn't think it would work for me, but it has.
So
you never know.
Yourself. And
absolutely.
And we can make changes. We can make changes, but they can take a long time. And also, it's not linear. So it's not going to be like, okay, this week. And I think a lot of people, when they hit a real barrier, you know, and maybe one week they've got a bit of a cold or they just don't feel like it, then they can spiral. It's like, don't worry. If you have it, we're all human. You know what I mean? And
we're not robots.
I have days like that. And I think, okay, I'm going to rest today. But I know I'm going to come back tomorrow. And the thing that keeps, because people always go, why are you so disciplined? Why are you so committed? Because in my head, it's finely tuned now to not even think about what I'm going to engage with or how hard the session is going to be. I know I'm going to feel great afterwards. So it's a given. And like you say, it's like it changes our mood. It makes us more focused. It makes us feel like we've accomplished something. It gives us more energy. And it's so it makes that day better for you. And it can never stop that. And it just shakes anything off. You know, we all have curveballs. We've all got loads of demands on us, things that don't go our way. And it's just a really good way of sort of shaking that off and changing your mood and transforming yourself.
And I really think that discipline is a form of self-care. Because when you lose the discipline, everything else starts, it's like dominoes, everything else starts to go afterwards. When you have that discipline, you're treating it as self-care because you're saying, I'm putting that in the pot for future me. So like I'm tidying up and I'm being disciplined because that's in the pot for future me, so that tomorrow I don't have to do it and I can do something else of my choice. Or exercising at this point because I know I'm going to feel better for my mental health, which inevitably makes me feel better in the long run, or tomorrow. It's like you're putting things in a little money box.
You are.
With that discipline. It's like discipline coins.
Exactly. And that's 2 points that you've made there that are just incredible. So firstly, I think that there's 2 sets of results. So I instantly feel better after exercising. So that's your instant result, okay? And then the long-term results are, we're in this for the long game, are that you are doing something physically incredible. You know, you're reducing, you're extending your life. And how that you feel within that life. You are reducing the risks of so many cancers and lots of lifestyle things like diabetes. It's good for your heart, it's good for your bone density. And as women at the age of 30, our muscle mass starts to decline. And the only way
so I've hit my peak at 29 now.
Well, it's a good job we're having this conversation now.
I'm stuffed.
But the only way really to manage that and to do the thing is strength train. We have to resist. We have to build the muscle back up to make those bones dense. So that's that element. So those instant results and then the long-term results. And then also, like you said, paying into your future self. So we pay money. We hear this message about paying into our pension pot. Okay. So financially, yes, we're paying money into a pension pot, but we need to be healthy. We need to service ourselves to be able to use
the pension pot.
Exactly. And do it well. And we want to stay, I want to stay independent, you know, financially and physically.
Yeah.
I don't want to be vulnerable. So it prevents falls. And it means that you can enjoy those years. You know, you've got grandchildren, you can do things more in your years. So it puts more years in your life, you know. So extend your life, but also it's those years in your life and
it's
what
like
you're doing with them.
Account.
Sorry?
It's like a savings account.
So we should be putting into our pension, but also into our body. So we want those dense bones. We want that we want to be able to do things ourselves, you know, like, so there's just so many reasons, isn't there, to move, right?
It's interesting you say that about sort of bone density, like muscle mass and things going down after 30, because I was speaking to someone about it yesterday, and I feel like I've only just hit my fitness peak.
Yeah.
So I'm training well now, and I'm doing more sports and all this kind of stuff than I was years ago. So yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to like fall off a cliff. I think the thing is, it's just we need to adapt the type of exercise we're doing with age. I'm 46, I'm perimenopausal, and at this stage, it's like that 30 point, it's like if you start, it's never too late to start. That's the other thing I'd say. So it's never ever too late. Even if you're 70, if you're 80, every single thing you do is going to have a benefit, okay, and have a positive impact. But the sooner you start, the better it's going to be, right? And the better the benefit. So it's just about changing, just adding things into your workout. It doesn't mean to say you have to completely change. But if we work with our body, like this strength training in my decade, in our 40s, is really, really important.
Yeah.
So, you know, cardio is important too, but strength training becomes more important. So we just adapt and we just adjust and change to basically fulfill our body's requirements. So that's that life stage.
So I want to get your opinion on something, again, that I sort of thought about recently. And obviously there's a lot of like competitions and stuff when it comes to sports. And some people love to compete in general. When it comes to things like the Olympics and that kind of thing, do you think there's an age limit? Or do you think some people really haven't hit their peak until they get a little bit older? What's your opinion on like having those crazy goals? Because when I started figure skating, I was like, I can never go to the Olympics. But then it's also like, why not? If that's my physical strength and that's my ability, I'm not saying that I will, by the way, I'm not that good, but it provoked the thought of like, actually, why should we cut ourselves off from being able to reach for those goals?
Absolutely. I think anything is possible, and I think this is where athleticism, like your physical prowess and your mindset really come into it, because there's been some incredible stories. Now, I'm not going to be able to remember the name of the rower, but you know, there was a lady, I can't remember, it's completely gone from my mind, but it'll come back. But there was a rowing trio. I think she'd done it 3 times, and I think she was in her 50s maybe, definitely in her 40s. But I think there's some wonderful Olympic stories, and I think the Olympics is a real niche. It's a big thing, special, isn't it? It's magical, isn't it?
Yes.
And that is the beauty of it, because I think it is that level of competition, which means that sometimes this magic, the stars align, and things people achieve incredible things. Generally speaking, I think that people do have a physical and mental peak, and I think generally speaking, what happens is people start getting injured.
Is the peak different for everyone? So, for example, some people would peak at 14 and some people would peak at 30.
Yeah, I think peaks are different for everybody, and particularly men and women, and everybody has different body composition. But just coming back to that, I think that there is, like, we hear some incredible stories, and like I say, particularly from the Olympics, because it comes around every 4 years, doesn't it? And I think generally speaking, things that halt people's potential in terms of how old they are and how long they compete for is, like I say, they generally will get an injury, and then that will impede them, because psychologically their mindset's there, but their body's not. Do you know what I mean? But then you do get these wonderful stories
of people that bounce back,
and people that take things up. Like, again, I haven't got the specifics, but there was another story of somebody who got divorced and then just focused on, what was it? I can't remember what it was, but and then succeeded. So I think anything's possible.
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone should just try anything. There's got to be some realism and some talent, right? There's got to be talent.
Of course.
But I think that sometimes what happens in those competitions. Like if you run a 10K,
Yeah.
you know, you always do better in the race, generally speaking, because the momentum of the event,
Yes.
the coaching,
The adrenaline.
and what happens psychologically, and your body just changes. And I think that should never be dismissed, the power of your mind
On your body.
on your body. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's just so interesting. And they always say, like, you always have more strength than you think.
Definitely.
So, like, you always think that you can't do another rep, or you always think that you can't reach that finish line. But actually, physically, normally you can.
Yeah. And I think, I agree. I think long-term goals like that to keep going are really important. But I always work with people if they're coming back from an injury, or if it's the first time in. Those goals for me are very long term, because first of all, what I want people to create is a routine.
Yeah. So
and
then
get into it and enjoy it,
and then they keep
and
coming back,
establish it.
and
Yes.
they want to do it.
Exactly, but I don't want to scare people off. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I hate that overwhelm. So it's about building it up. But I think definitely the power, again, that's where I believe in the power of a group, because we have this lovely female community where it's really supportive, and I talk about encouragement, not pressure. Because I think so many people have got so much pressures in our life, and for us, this space, or that
supposed to be
exercise
enjoyable.
space, enjoyable. You know what I mean? And where you're not feeling like, I've got to do this, otherwise I'm going to look silly. No.
Yeah.
People are sort of slowly, like a lot of people say, don't overthink it, just come.
Yeah.
And within like 6 months, that plank will feel different. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden you can do a press up and you feel this empowered. You know, it's
Yeah.
empowering. It's great for your self-esteem, your self-worth. It gives you confidence because you think you can accomplish something, you work up to it.
100%. And I think, so this is something that when I started figure skating, I just went for it. I just said, I want to do that. I don't know anyone that does it. I'm just going to go for it. And I was in a class with like loads of little kids that wanted to learn. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care, because I'm learning and I want to do this. And I remember one of my coaches said to me, do you not have a skating buddy? And I was like, what's that? And he said, oh, it's someone, like, just someone that comes with you, or someone that you meet here to like keep you accountable and make you come to training. And I was like, I don't need anyone to make me come to training. It's like, I enjoy doing this. I'm here because I want to be. I don't need anybody to make me go there.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on
the person.
Absolutely. And I think, for me personally, with a group, I would feel more pressure, because I'd feel like, oh, everyone is like waiting for me to go, like everyone's expecting me to go and things
Yeah.
like this. Whereas if I'm training on my own, it's all
just
on
on
my
you,
own.
yeah.
So it's really interesting how different people sort of compartmentalize.
Yeah, and I think it's different what motivates people. And I think a lot of people, if they've had a bad experience of exercise or something, then they're like, they've got this sort of low level of dread. But I think for us, it's about the fact they come, they know we're going to have a bit of a giggle. We may be talking about something random or the TV, but we'll come together. So we have a bit of a laugh. And I think that's, for those particular women, what keeps them coming back, and the fact that like they are having sort of personal achievements, and we do celebrate that, but that's not the genesis of the session.
Yes.
And I think it's about finding, if you can find out what the thing is that works for you, then that is going to help you keep coming back. But also, just wanted to pick up on motivation, because motivation is something that you can just get, or that somebody can give you.
You don't just wait for it.
No. Motivation is something that you create for yourself, right? And clearly, I can see that you're somebody that creates your own motivation.
Sometimes.
Well, you're doing pretty well.
I'm good at procrastinating too.
Yeah, but aren't we all? But it's to what that level of to what degree you procrastinate. But I think there's a whole myth around the fact that they think, you're gonna, I'm gonna motivate them, and I can motivate people, but they've got to get themselves there, and then I can carry them forward. But again, it's like you say, I think once you start that journey, and it's a journey of movement, the more you move, the more you think, well, actually, I want to change my what I'm eating. I want to change what I'm putting inside my body, because really it's about 80% what you're eating, 20% exercise, if you are looking to lose weight. And, you start going, well, I'm not going to do that. If I've made the effort to do that, and then you go, oh, actually,
I'm not going to ruin it.
Could we walk there instead of going in the car and blah, blah. It becomes like a positive cycle, doesn't it? A positive loop. And if you can achieve that, then it starts sort of ripple effects across your life to other things that you've been trying to change. So if you start with one thing, change the habit there, then it does have a really, from my point of view, and as far as I'm concerned, it has a trickle effect into other things.
I love that. And it really does make a difference in daily life.
Yeah.
To how, like, I feel like even little things, like when I'm exercising more, I walk differently.
Yeah.
And you can, like, I can't even explain how.
Yeah.
But I walk differently. Like, my posture is better.
Yes.
Walking feels easier.
Yeah.
And things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely going to add a daily outside walk when I'm not doing loads of other stuff, though. Because I don't know why. I just really want to be outside. I was saying to one of our friends actually the other day, that I really want to feel grounded.
Yes.
And I think it was raining or snowing or something at the time. And I was like, oh, if I had a garden, I would just go and lay on the grass.
Yeah.
And she was like, I get it, but it's raining. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I just really want to be outside. And I don't know why, because as I say, I loved lockdown. I was the first person to say, oh, can't be bothered when everyone went back outside. But I don't know what it is. I'm just, really looking forward to, like, being outside. I really just want to be outside.
That sounds very intuitive to you. And I think also when you're outside, you can slow down and just take things in from your environment. And I think it's always like about walking a different way. What I find interesting is, so I do my training and I do yoga and Pilates. I'm really massive fan of cross training, where you do lots of different things, you know, so that your muscles always having to adapt in different ways. And as much as I like the strength training, I also love Pilates, love yoga, love all of it. And I generally tend to do one or two sort of, I call it a joggette, because the reason why is because I don't measure how far I go, don't measure how fast I go. It's to, you know what I mean?
Just
I
for
love
fun.
it. And sometimes I interval, you know, so it's like I'll walk and then I'll jog. It's not a run. But people always go to me, well, I'm not going out for a run with you. I bet you run really fast. It's like, no, I don't. You know, people have this perception. But it's about, I really like going, in the winter is what I was going to say. I get really hot in the summer, but in the winter,
me too.
I love going out when weather's like this, really cold, beautiful sunshine. Oh, I love going out in the rain because I find it really invigorating. And I love getting home and then having a shower. You know what I mean? So it's really sensory.
Yes.
But, you know, I do different things seasonally, different things at different times of year. But I think I'm so interested in your figure skating. I mean, what an amazing thing to do for you, because that's a really wonderful compartment, I imagine, very different from the other things you do. Yeah,
definitely. And I started ballet as well, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. I think I was 27, maybe. And that was another thing. And someone actually contacted me recently to sort of write a piece for an article she was doing about getting into ballet as an adult. And I think there's a real movement of being able to get back into these sports that maybe we did as a kid, or that we never, because I never got to do tennis as a kid. I never got to do figure skating as a kid. Not like there's no blame on my mum or anything like that, but it's just not something I did as a kid. So instead of having that perception of, oh, well, you didn't do it as a kid, you can't do it now. I'm like, absolutely no, scrap that. I'm going to learn what I want to learn. I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really important, picking things up, because I mean, I've got two daughters who are 8 and 9, and it is funny because you hear these conversations in the playground about how, oh yeah, well, she's not going to progress in ballet, so there's no point in her doing it anymore.
Oh God, I hate that.
And it's like, but sometimes as a parent, you're like, oh my God, should I have been doing that? You know what I mean? And it's like with my kids, I very much try and allow them to choose what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I think it's meaningless. Because unless it's coming from them, you know, I don't want to be there going, well, you've got to go and do this. Like swimming, for example, I've definitely done swimming because that's, you know, something that we all need for life, really. But, you know, so that's the thing that I've really led them to. But now they've just started this year going, one of them's doing gym, one of them's doing football. But one of my kids, and they're very different as well. One is a total homebody, really creative, quite introverted, loves being at home, would never leave the house again. If that would be a happy place. She just loves it. Loves being at home with the cat in front of the fire.
I love that.
Happy as Larry. My other child, more like me, constantly wants to be everything, party out, you know, in the centre of things, in the thick of it. And you have to sort of, rather than force them and go, right, okay, well, they both got to be doing this, I really try and listen to them as their individual needs and their wants, rather than force things on them. But also, like you say, it doesn't matter, later on they'll come to it. But like you say, it's about enjoyment, right? There's no point doing things if you're just going through the motions.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about all the classes and everything that you do, but in general, what's next for you? Is there anything that you want to get into? Is there anything exciting coming up? What's sort of next areas of interest and that kind of stuff for you?
Well, there's always something I want to do, because I just want to grab every opportunity in life with both hands. So what I'm really focused on at the moment is my onlines, because, and the reason being is, it's funny because we took everything online in the lockdown, all our classes, and then I couldn't wait to not be doing them anymore. You know, I wanted to get, because I really love being in person. I really like bounce off people connection. But as a solo parent, I was finding that, you know, I mean, the classes that we do, the outside classes, they're fine because I do those with a business partner, and there's 3 classes a week, and that's fine. It fits in with my schedule. But I was having a lot of PT clients, which is 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, and I absolutely love it. And you start off saying, okay, your slot's at 12 o'clock on Monday, and you know that's when you do it. But you get close to people and you care about the workout. And I generally end up training people like me in midlife, you know, juggling, generation sandwich as I call it. Yeah. And you try and fit around them. So you've got that, and I've got an ex-husband and the father of my children who I'm co-parenting with. I'm the primary carer, and he travels, so I'm moving around him. And then a boyfriend who also has children, and I'm moving around him. So as you can see, I can see your face. You're already a bit like, there's lots of layers. Yeah. So I felt like, hang on a minute, this isn't working for me. I'm here, there, everywhere. And you can feel quite out of control and overwhelmed. Yes. And I thought, I need structure. And also a lot of people were getting in touch with me saying, I really want to train with you, but they weren't living in Winchester, because as we've talked about with social media, the world's your oyster. You know, there's no geographical restrictions. So our outside class is not scalable, it's a community. But I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go back online, you know, back online live, because it's about getting it in. And for some people, what it means is it's half an hour, you've done everything, it's a total body workout, it's accessible to all ages and all stages, you know, there's always variations. But it means you can get it done, and you're not having to travel. You're doing it in the comfort of your own home, so you feel safe, you know, you feel comfortable, you can do it in your pajamas. Just get it done. You know, yes, it'd be great if we could all spend an hour outside, but for some people that's not reality. And I want them to still be able to access really safe, great, you know, workouts. So for me, it means also it's scalable, because I can have as many numbers on there. I'm creating an online community. And as we know, sometimes you can't be in there in person, but there's also now this other facility for us where I can encourage people online, and we create that. And, you know, it's the next best thing, right? So I am really focusing on that, and that's what I really want to drive this year. We've also just done a retreat, which is a new thing for us. We do our social saunas, which are once a month. We do sauna, sea dip, yoga, and cacao, again with lovely groups of people. They're all like-minded, transformative for people, and that is only half a day. So we feel like, but we say it has the transformative powers of feeling like you've had a week on holiday on your own.
I love that.
It's so wonderful. Yeah. Because you're not absorbed in a spa experience. You're out there doing stuff, and you're jumping in the sea, and you know, you don't have to jump in the sea, but we generally people end up doing it because the momentum, once they're there, and support of wonderful other women is there. And then the other thing, so we're driving forward our retreats and corporate presentations. And then also, I really want to do some festival stuff this year.
I love
so
that.
like doing workouts on the stage. So
that would be so
I am
cool.
talking to the people that run festivals. So fingers crossed. I'd love to do that. So I just want to try everything. Move. It's all just about getting people moving. And I've worked out this can, you know, I'm somebody who I like to experience loads of new things. That's what gets me going. Yeah. So I want to try anything. You know what I mean? I just as long as it fits into my life. Yeah, take the opportunities and grab it with both hands. So that's what I'm really working towards and working on. And life's busy. And this is the first time I've sort of done a podcast. So that's exciting. Yay, another new thing in January. Tick that off the list. And really looking at sort of press coverage. So that's what I'm doing personally. So yeah, life is really good at the moment. It's busy. Yes. But I wouldn't have it any other way. But I enjoy every minute of it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me and for fitting it in. I will obviously leave your links and everything. Your Instagram is Move with Emma?
Yeah, move_with_Emma.
Perfect. And people can find your classes through there on your website?
Yeah, on my website, which is movewithemma.co.uk. Amazing.
Well, thank you so, so much. This has been such an interesting conversation. This is, like I said, longer than most of my other episodes, but I really got into it, so I was loving this.
Not because I just talk so much and you can't get a word in edgeways, but thank you so much for making my first podcast experience so lovely. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, you can check everything that Emma's been talking about out on her Instagram and website. And thank you. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Amazing.